plane coming over from Yasnaya down to Primor, so everyone should be able to get exactly where they want to go, albeit it might take a little bit longer if you're heading down to the southwest side of the map here.
So, I'll see where these teams do opt to drop the full 16. Are going to be loading on up and getting those spots claimed. It looks like Megastars are going to drop out early, heading over to Kameshki, Blank.
Yeah, they're heading off very, very early. And we've seen Megastars actually have to head up to Kameshki quite a few times, but they've got a decent rotational path out of here most of the way through. I'm pretty happy with what I've seen from Megastars. Morph, on the other hand, they like to play Milta, right? This seems to be their usual spot coming in. BTR head down to farm nice and early. They like to go for that split. And they're very comfortable with the limited amount of loot that they can find down there. Usually that means just killing another team and taking their loot. As Avenger would say, there is some loot goblins around the map, but you can kill those loot goblins and take their bag of loot for yourself.
You know, he's been doing too many raids. He's used to those loot drops, so he's going to be getting them on board and seeing if he can carry them forward. So see if any of those teams are going to be able to go for it. It looks like Freestyle are going to be dropping around Shelter, and the circle's actually going to go their way, Blank.
And that's the first circle for us almost straight away, John. So this is nice to see. It's very much towards the eastern side. There is a lot of water inside this one after all. So it's a little bit scary if this team's on the west side, but by no means that these teams won't make it. And the issue comes in the lack of landmass available to these guys at the moment. You level up now wandering their way through, and right now what we have, John, is a little bit of a crunch between Freestyle, You Level Up, BTR, as well as GXR Celts.
And that's the thing as well, Blank. You mentioned BTR right there. This is a Milta circle. This is their home ground. And if there's one thing we know about BTR is when they're comfortable, these guys pop off. No one really can stand in their way. We'll see if they're able to lay claim to the rest of the area around farm, around Milta, and stop any of those teams rotating in from the west.
You level up currently without very much gear whatsoever. GXR Celts do not know, you'd imagine, but actually, I think they've got an inkling where this player is.
Oh, no.
What's the pony?
Oh dear, he's only got a machete. He's swinging for it. Actually, hang on a minute, he's going for broke.
Oh, God.
Oh, nearly able to get one. No, he only managed to get a sliver of HP, but he's going to go down. An early down for You Level Up Gaming. GXR Celts get themselves a point.
Pin the bullet on the pony there. Worked out in the favor of GXR Celts. Sadly, You Level Up were not able to get away. It was a classic hide attempt, and you know he almost got away with it. Stealth level around about 70, but
yeah,
perception from GXR Celts was rather high.
Yeah, they rolled solid 19s there across the board and were able
solid.
to. Solid 19s. I say solid. That's pretty good. But yeah, they managed to get the point. First point of the league stages, Blank.
Yeah. Now, Avenger and the rest were saying about how Avenger likes to stay behind a lot of times. He's like, come pick me up. Now, what we saw yesterday, well, on Sunday, sorry, is Nova Godlike. Ooh, that's actually very close from You Level Up. But Nova Godlike were very split towards Georgia Paul, but also in Rozhok. So it's an interesting playing path from them. We'll see what they can do here now. They are all bunched up in Georgia Paul.
Morph over in Milta Power as well, so they have got a pretty decent spot here, Blank. Fighting out from the coast can sometimes be tricky, but in these early circles, it's often quite a safe spot to be holding, and they'll have to move inland a little bit later on. But all of those teams out to the west will have to make that shift.
So at Freestyle here, they're coming in after not playing on the weekend, but I'm interested to see what these guys can do because we've not seen too much of them, so it will be exciting. And you know, he's got the pale pink outfit on. I respect it. I think he looks really cool.
The vibe.
So, yeah, they're at least Freestyle. You know what they are? They are doing. They are vibing. TSM.
That's the vibe check.
That's the vibe check. They've passed it. It is completely passed without a second glance. I looked at them once, didn't even have to do a double take, and I was like, look, the door's open, fellas. Come on through.
You've pleased the vibe master himself. Blank's happy with it.
Let's talk about TSM really quick, John, because, you know, there's a lot of, I would say there's a lot of pride around this team from India. And people are very happy with them. They did extraordinarily well coming into the World League, and it feels like they kind of fell off a little bit on that opening weekend. Now, I would put a lot of it down to actually, in fact, them maybe struggling a little bit in terms of taking too many fights. What do you think, John?
It hasn't been going their way as much as they would like, right? It's not been the case where they found those favorable fights, but it has to be said that they haven't been doing too badly when they get into those fights. I mean, they had plenty of kills on board. It's just the fact that they were limiting themselves when moving forwards into the game. In those later circles, they didn't have as much strength as a lot of these other teams that were frag heavy.
Yeah, I'd agree with that, and I think that's the struggle when you take too many fights too often. Suddenly, you are playing against quite literally the best players in the world in terms of the eastern side, right? So you are not coming against pushovers at all at this point. So you've got to be careful with the amount of fights you are taking. And I think especially in the Southeast Asian and South Asian environment, there are some ridiculously good teams here, and we can easily fill out a 16 team lobby here with the best.
For sure. I mean, you've got teams like Orange Rock and RRQ Athena from South Asia and Southeast Asia respectively, right? That they're super heavy fragging, and they're actually making it work. Both of them ended up towards the top of those tables. Yeah. Definitely kill leaders in the lobby. Obviously, we put Biggie I dead stopped my sentence as Orange Rock dead stopped their vehicles there. They crashed straight into each other. But these teams, Orange Rock and RRQ Athena, they've been going at loggerheads in terms of trying to ladder up. Obviously, we put Bigatron, Red Aliens in their own sort of category at the moment. They're still a little bit untouchable. That's not to say they can't be beaten. They had a couple of 10th places. I think it was a 15th place they finished as well on the opening weekends, but the rest of them they were always just really solid. So they're sort of on their own, but it's really sort of this competition between these heavy fragging teams that I'm interested in.
Hugely, and I think it's quite interesting because when we talk about RRQ, a lot of times what quickly springs to mind is very much individual plays. We saw G9 from yesterday put on, well, on Sunday, I keep saying yesterday, it feels so soon, so close. But on Sunday he put on that fantastic performance to get his team towards the top as a solo. But then I look at Orange Rock and I think to myself, like, this is very much a team that's heavily focused on that teamwork aspect of PUBG Mobile. We've seen them so many times respect one another, support one another in their fights, and I'm really loving it. Specifically because I feel like whenever I watch Scout on any other team, for instance, that he's played on, he has felt like very much that star power, but he's been almost dragging his team behind him just a tiny bit at times. But here it feels like he is with a team that actually has some really big performers that he can work with and perform well in that environment. It's really exciting to see him on Orange Rock. I'm super happy to see it.
I mean, speaking of performers, you've got Gilla is back, and this guy's been popping shots, dude. It's absolutely insane. Really strong player. Making sure we saw him, I think, beam down a couple of people on Team Secret.
That was an incredible move from him because Team Secret took out the majority of his team, and we even said it on the cast. We were like, oh, he's going to drive away there. Great understanding. He's going to drop the patience, leave, and then suddenly he comes back in and takes down 3 before he falls himself. And there was a point where I almost believed the fact that he could win it.
You level up. They've got the bead on Megastars here, Blank. It's over just to the west of Lipovka near prison. It looks like they do know what's up. Unfortunately, though, you level up are really quite split in this situation, Blank. They haven't quite coalesced as a squad. Megastars, having looted early in Kameshki, they've made their way down south.
You Level Up is a team that's had some pretty cool performances and decent performances at that, but never really hugely striking. Tend to go out towards the end of the game. But I think that, this is a team that I expect to continue to do well during this tournament, and maybe we just haven't seen everything that we can see in their potential as of yet.
Looks like Megastars do know something's up. I think they're worried more about the buildings in prison, and Huoshuan just hitting the deck, snaking around these rocks and make sure he doesn't get spotted. He knows that Paradox is there, and actually he knows that a lot of his team have moved away. The question is, do Megastars know that they are this split? Will You Level Up be able to support them in these fights? The next circle comes through.
Let's talk about this circle really quick, because we had the one that went all the way to the east. It was pretty obvious that it was going to kind of center up here. So most teams have been able to decide on a compound, which is good for them. And we actually see Morph there taking down a few players. But for me, this circle is important, especially as Circle 2, because you can take whatever compound you want and know you'll be safe for the next circle. So, for instance, Heaven towards Mansion side is really important, and TSM are currently vying for that. If they can hold on to this, it'll be really good. What I want to see from them is a little bit more patience, maybe bide their time a bit. We saw Orange Rock was able to do that. Yeah, on Sunday, almost said yesterday again, I think someone should probably start counting that too. I do that and just like really slam me on Twitter for it.
Bold of you to assume that I'm not already counting.
Yeah, I know. But that's actually Reject getting a a rundown kill, okay.
Oh, fair enough. They're going to be getting the knocks done. I think that might have been a self-knockout, actually.
That would make sense.
That would make more sense. Unfortunately, Reject Scarlet, one of their players did end up going down. Megastars, though, they haven't taken this fight yet with You Level Up, and You Level Up they've just allowed Megastars to essentially take their position. They're playing this weird snake in the grass game instead of, moving away and allowing ground or trying to take it back. They've just sort of said, yeah, you know what, fair enough.
I think that's probably the best option for them right now. They don't have a full squad. They know that after Circle 2, most people have got into the circle, and there's a lot of compounds around this area, so most people are safe. It's almost like a Vikendi circle in a way, with a lot of compounds on that side. So I think if You Level Up can stay here, there's a 4-man over there, and then potentially go for a third party towards the later part of the game, that will be better for them. Because then they can get a distinct good position whilst taking down 2 teams in the same fell swoop. So I'd be happy to see that. The question is whether they can pull it off or not. Orange Rock currently, though, they're towards the northern side of the map, just around TSM Entity as well as You Do Gank. They're just waiting to see what they can see. I mean, they've got a decent compound here with I think that's the free story. Very hard to breach.
Pretty tricky. There's plenty of good teams in this lobby, though, and plenty of them are going to know a thing or two about getting in. We'll see if they're able to execute on those strategies. You Level Up still just creeping around near prison, and it's quite a key location in this circle, Blank. It's a big feature, it's big cliff faces, and you do sort of need to rotate around it. So potentially having this area could be pretty strong.
Yeah, we're also very much near Lumberyard as well, which is pretty much all uphill. And I think that just talking of terrain, I think there's not only this area around prison, which is so difficult to navigate. There's loads of areas towards the southern side that actually is very difficult to hold onto for too long, especially if you're having to rotate down there quite quickly, like TSM Entity, Valdus, or Nova Godlike. Most teams, if they're holding Lumberyard, will hear the teams coming up to breach them early, because you need vehicles to get up there in the first place. So I'll be interested to see how long GXR Celt or BTR are able to hold in this area. I'm wondering if BTR might even try and assault GXR Celt if we do see that southern shift. But we are going to get a new circle in very soon, John.
It's one hell of an outfit from Jonathan there. Big fan. Let's see if that's able to get us some good luck. And in fact, the circle does shift very, very centrally here, Blake.
Yeah, so this is almost a Lumberyard finish. So really what we can do here is draw like almost a circle donut type of deal around Lumberyard and say this is kind of difficult area to play now. You're going to be a little bit exposed. Teams are going to be able to rock up on you, and you've also got to worry about the teams who might be holding up on Lumberyard watching down towards you. So you're going to see a big clump up towards this northwest side. We still yet to see Reject Scarlet Gaming come in, Nova Godlike. So this is when teams are really going to have to fight for position.
Nova Godlike, they are going to start fighting, and it's going to be on the road against You Do Gank. It looks like they have crashed the compounds. They have tried to displace them, but they're both out of the circle, so they're both going to need to move. We did see a couple of knocks come through towards Freestyle, towards Orange Rock as well, but all of those teams should be able to get each other back up, and they should be just fine. GXR Celts as well, taking a fight against the teams just over the hill, waiting on Morph to try and push on up. No mercy going out for the flank. It looks like Morph want this fight, Blank.
Yeah, I think they're, like we said before, they know that this is a strong position to hold, especially if the circle drops down to it. It becomes infinitely worse when the circle shifts away, because then you're coming down from the mountain itself and everyone knows that there's someone going to be coming down. But right now, Morph are pretty confident this might be in the next circle. It should be a decent place to hold. So they actually move up, and GXR Celts, on the other hand, they start to move away, which is interesting. They're heading down the hill towards Megastars.
Goodness me, okay. Bold decisions, bold decisions. Box taking some fire from No Chance team, who are on the outskirts of this next circle, down on the south side. They're hunkered down in a garage, though, and this is a pretty defensible setup here.
Yeah. And Box Gaming now, I expect big things from them this game at least, just to maybe make up for that very weird loss on Sandhawk on Sunday, where it felt like it should have been theirs, yet they made a crucial error, which was just staying out in the blue and waiting to kill Fredo, and they don't get the shot. But Pime has been hitting these mega snipes all weekend, so we can expect to see more of that from him at least.
I hope so. It's certainly good watching, good viewing. He managed to, as you say, during that Sanok game, it was one of those games that they felt like they deserved it. He was hitting those shots. They were nutty. And more often than not, he was able to play a really tricky thorn in the side roll with that sniper, with those just one-shot bangs. Oh, dear.
It's another?
He hits the shot and break, finishes it off. Beautiful stuff for No Chance team. They're getting plinked down.
Yeah, Godless wishes he had a god right now because you'll need one versus Pime. He's dropping the shots on your left, right, and center. There is Freestyle, though, actually taking shots towards Reject Scarlet, so a big fight breaking out here.
Wow, okay. It's going to be Freestyle wiping off a couple of the players of Reject Scarlet. Reject Scarlet down to 2. The crash didn't go their way. Circle comes in. Freestyle will be able to heal up on the northwestern side. You can see they're pretty close to the circle. Reject Scarlet want to continue the fight. All 4 players alive for Freestyle. Malik cooking the nade, a lot of damage sent over towards Sarah. Bounced the nade off the side of the wall, but Sarah went the other way. He's going to drop down, heal up just a little bit, get some more HP, but that's taken straight black, reclaimed. Some more damage sent, and it's bombardment from Freestyle. They're going to find yet a 3rd player from Reject Scarlet, but Webb waiting in the wings, goes for the spray. No knocks found, and he's given his spot.
And we wanted to see what Freestyle could do, and they're showing it to us marvelously, absolutely picking apart Reject Scarlet. They were unable to get into the circle whatsoever, albeit Freestyle were holding down to a really, really strong compound here. It's very difficult to breach and also gives a lot of advantageous angles to Freestyle. So Reject Scarlet kind of took the difficult role coming in here. But Circle has shifted, John. And it's an interesting finish. We're going to get a shelter finish, so there's places to hide here. But really, it's a lot of open ground.
Plenty of space to operate, but when 2 teams decide they want the same spot, it's going to come to loggerheads. RRQ chasing Team Secret down into the shelter. Oh, dear. Mad Toy down on the hillside as well, will get flushed, and that's RRQ. That's what we're talking about, right? These guys, they can frag, and they are not afraid to just bulldoze their way in.
It's difficult versus a team like this who is unafraid to take ground. There's only really one other team that I would characterize that in this lobby, which would be BTR. So I think when we see RRQ and BTR clash, that's when we see the difference in caliber of skill. But right now, RRQ are good at putting a good performance and a good showing to say that maybe they can, in fact, battle it out with the big boys of the lobby.
TSM Entity taking a heavy fight, it seems, with their countrymen. And with Nova Godlike, there's plenty of knocks going both ways. No, neither team quite yet finished off, but with Reject Scarlet down to 1, they are going to lose that final player. They're going to be out 16th place.
Reject Scarlet is not ideal for them. Luxy, though, with his only fellow of a teammate, Microboy, so in the actual carnage and chaos, we've actually seen Ryzen and Zuxi go down, so one of the twin brothers not together. So this could prove a slight issue.
Microboy getting knocked as well, so now it's just Luxy standing for the squad, but if there's anything noted about this guy is he can stand up tall, stand up strong against seemingly insurmountable odds. Luxy, last remaining player now for Bigatron. We get a cheeky little replay on the earliest frag in the game from the GXR Celts, but the fight's still raging on the hillside.
This is that beautiful shot from earlier.
Look at that.
It's an instant, though. He drops up, immediately takes a shot, but more fights coming through. That's Megastars actually taking the fight onto Morph here. Remember, Megastars were the one to assault the Lumberyard early on. No, it's Morph trying to make their way onto this eastern side, but all these teams who had centered up towards prison, like you said earlier, terrain is awful. It's so difficult for them to get out of here, so a lot of this circle is unoccupied.
GXR Celts clashing over the hillside with Box, and through it all, Luxy is still raining through, sprays down 1, looks for a second as well, but they can't quite finish it out. It's GXR Celts to play spoiler to Bigatron's first entry into the league play.
What a spray down from Luxy, but they're able to fend him off for the time being. Next circle comes through. Neo is still in the circle. The rest of his teammates in TSM Entity, Z-God and Clutch God are towards the northern side of the map, so they've got this forward scout here. He's around a loot crate, which will provide him some cover, but RRQ, they're going to start to make their way into the circle. Currently, Neo's the only guy in it, so he might be relaying that information back quite early, but this could bode well for TSM Entity. Again, though, this cluster towards the eastern side, it's kind of been like a traffic jam for so many teams. They've been unable to get into the circle, and now it's causing problems.
Certainly, it's that cliffside features. You see you level up with the last remaining player, Horshuan, trying to sneak around and actually wants to go down, it seems. No, he's just hide. Okay, that's why he's down there. Oh dear. Oh no. Oh, just about survives. Horshan able to pick it up. TSM Entity still taking fights with Valdus the Murder. They need to fight through. They are on the northern side and quite far away. The Megastars, they are leaving their location near prison and they're getting a little bit of a spot in the circle on the eastern side.
That's RRQ taking a fight with No Chance team. Orange Rock also fending off Freestyle. Valdus also joining in on the far party there. Martin actually explodes a player from Restyle again. This is crazy. So many fights going on at once. TSM Entity taking a fight with Valdus. Clutch God goes down.
Goodness me, that's not going to look good for either of them. They have quite a way to go on this circle. It's closing pretty rapidly, and there's a lot of damage being found from it. Another knock comes through onto TSM Entity, but it's backed up by the blue zone. Onto Goddard, who goes down almost immediately. Neo gets traded off. That's RRQ chiming into the fight. That's everybody going very, very low as Neo does get eliminated. He was in the center of the circle, and that's TSM Entity out.
But Seagod, all on his own, was able to take down the rest of a couple of players from Valdus, so we get a few points on board for him. But TSM Entity, they are now the game. That forward scout didn't do too much for them. Maybe they were better off holding together, but look at all these kills coming through in the kill feed. Your Xuan is actually still going from you level up, taking out a couple of players on the eastern side. Megastars should be aware of their presence. You've got RRQ here, D2E, forward scout for them. Must know that No Chance Gaming is just ahead of them. Offdale's looking down towards the hill. But right now it is that big fight between the two teams with a couple of players on board. RRQ currently with 4 though, probably with the best shout into this game.
Horshan is going to go down and will leave you level up out in 11th place. 10 teams remain. Blank, this is circle 5 and there's 26 players left. This is a very aggressive lobby right now.
It's a fast lobby indeed, and when you get the next circle comes in, favors RRQ massively, and they have a lot of zone ahead of them. They've already committed vehicles early on, exploding them and using them as compounds, so they'll be very happy with this one to hold on to this area for a little bit longer. But they can just start shooting off to the eastern side. No one wants to come towards the middle of this circle because it's such bare ground. In come the nades though.
Laid bare on the ground. Orange Rock will take 2 knocks. Scout now, last remaining standing player. Certainly a star. Drax wants to push in, goes for these flushes. He's spraying down, not quite able to tag it through the smoke. Oh, and there's trades coming through. Scout in the grass. Needs to try and hunker down, needs to try and get something for this because the rest of his team, they're pretty much done for. Pops up, has the AKM around the side of the tree, looking for more, but he can't quite find it. No! Goes down. Box Gaming were eliminated, but so were Orange Rock.
Well reacted by Udo Gank there. They were trying to finish off players, knew they had to get an early, prevent Scout from getting a res, so quite smart, and they've taken slightly a bit more ground for themselves, but still got a ways to go to get into the circle. RRQ currently the Kings on the western side. No one can really touch them, and they've got just so many of the King's Guard around them in terms of teams that other players will have to fight through to even get to their doorstep if they want to carry out this assassination.
Freestyle with that nade put themselves up to 5 kills blank so far. Highest in the game at the moment is 8 with RRQ. Athena as Freestyle now on 6. They have plenty of points to be getting on with in their first showing.
But not plenty of players, only 1 remaining for them here. No Chance team still locked down on that hillside from RRQ, and RRQ has just got this excellent position, just dipping up and down over the ridge side. I'm putting my money on RRQ right now, John. I don't think anyone else is going to find their way into this circle. We'll see what happens with the next one, though. Should it shift over the Megastars? Potentially they have a chance here, John.
But they are only 3. They're down a player. Paradox having taken a fall earlier. And they are going to have to maybe contend with those teams to the south of them, trying to gain some of that ground. RRQ do not stop. We talked about them before on the desk during the game, but hang on a minute. G9 eliminated. Freestyle as well. They go down in 6th.
Well, that's actually a big pick-off from No Chance Gaming. G9 going down is pretty awful, but Ernie responds in kind.
They figured it out. They know exactly where it is. They dish out the damage in response. They're not too happy, not best pleased about losing one of their teammates. 8 kills found. Udo Gank with 7. GXR Celts with 6. but the players are dropping like flies, Blank.
Oh my lord, Offdel solo probably will just bleed out there. Yes, he will. But now other players starting to fire off towards No Chance Gaming and UDU Gang. They're trying to remove Megastars. Just two players there, Parang and Jumper. No Chance ahead of them, but look at that. D2E finds another shot onto Heineken. You imagine that No Chance Gaming in a really tough spot. UDU Gang just don't have the players to assault RRQ at the moment, but if they get the side swipe, maybe get that flank and even things up here, potentially UDU have a chance at the win. And look at that, Circle actually shifts over towards them, so RRQ, they will be forced to move away from this zone. They know that already, the smokes are coming through.
Well, the Megastars, they're down on their luck. Vexy going down earlier. They're very, very low on HP. They're going to try and suppress RRQ before they can crest this ridge, which is going to be such a crucial moment. They have got a UAZ at their disposal, so they'll be trying to figure out where they can go. They've got a buggy as well, although there is a tire out on that one.
Ultron, though, does find No Chance and actually will eliminate them, bringing himself up into that 4th place position. When I was asking people about who they think their Dark Horse player is, a lot of people did mention Ultron to me. He seems to be a decent pickup here from GXR Celts, and we'll see just how far he can make it. But right now, he's right on the edge of the blue, and he's just going off for that heal off.
RRQ trying to crest the ridge now. They're making their move. They're trying to push forwards, getting those vehicles on board. UDU Gank as well, trying to suppress towards Megastars. They're moving on up, trying to control this hillside, which is tricky. RRQ going to be vying for it as well. 4 teams now left.
RRQ picked a fight with many people in this circle, and there seems to be a large amount of grudges being held against them.
Oh, yeah.
They're desperately trying to pop their heads out. Out come the vehicles. Beer 1 does find one player from UDU, but Parang immediately responds.
Is going to get the knock, but the rest of RRQ are pretty close. There's smokes to cover it. They can get this res. UDU Gank up the top of the hill, but Ernie gets spotted. Ultron very low out the blue. Plays spoiler. 2 players down now for RRQ, but they managed to get one back up. They've got smokes here, Blank. They can get this next res too.
My lord, if there was one more knock on the side of RRQ, potentially Ultron finds himself a cheeky little 2nd place there. Out come the nades from Megastars. They've been holding on to these all game. The resource is now finally used for the last chance.
A little bit further down the hill now. 2 players standing for RRQ. They have made it through this gauntlet, Blank, and that's what we wanted to see. Cresting the ridge, so difficult, but they have to snake their way forwards.
D2E, they don't really have, he only has bandages on board, so resources seem to be limited from all the fights that, you know, what RRQ have participated in. But UDU, despite only having 2 players having to leave one guy out in the blue, they've gotten quite far here remaining in this one. They also have the north side of the circle as it shifts across to them once again, so you perhaps think that maybe RRQ and Mega shift their attention to UDU Gank before finishing their fight here.
All of these teams had a really good game so far. 6 kills for Megastars, UDU Gank on 7. RRQ Athena all the way up on 10. So no matter what, all of them going to be pleased with their first entry here. But we'll see who's going to be able to get that first chicken dinner. Oh, the Megastars, they get naded out as well. 2 players from RRQ, plenty of damage being dished out. Awace takes a knee. The Megastars trying to hold off this barrage for now. They know they're behind the vehicles, but in comes the sideswipe. It's UDU Gank from down the hill, and RRQ are eliminated.
Both teams just ignoring this team towards the bottom. Now Mega have got to push towards them next. Down goes Parang, John.
Jumper last standing now for UDU Gank, trying to play around the tree, dodging out, ducking around, trying to shoot those bullets back on up, but the circle right at his back, and it's going to be so tricky to find any sort of entry here.
He has to move out of cover, and I don't think the blue will push fast enough for him to take advantage of where Megastars are right now.
Oh, he's going to go down. That's going to be the Megastars. The circle shifted their way, and they capitalized. Beautiful stuff.